The Fujicast is an independent Loading Zone production.
Kev, we're recording this on Valentine's Day. Isn't it right? It's just you and me, Valentine's Day. Sam's gone to work today, so it really is just you. You are my Valentine's date, Kev. So sorry about that. What did you get any gifts? Did you exchange gifts? Or do you send cards that have big question marks on them? Although
I did order a print for Gemma. However, it hasn't turned up.
Oh, right.
And it's gone over a wall in her bedroom. And mysteriously, there was a bunch of flowers outside our front door this morning, but with no note. Rosa's claiming it's for her. Albie's claiming it's for him. I told Gemma it wasn't from me to her, so she's not claiming it. Could be for me.
Well, you never know, Kev. You've got lots of admirers out there.
The Fujicast.
But anyway, well, look, happy Valentine's Day. And we get to spend it together, even though this goes out on Monday. And, So here we are again. You and your questions that you're sending in to click@fujicast.co.uk or indeed with a heart to Kev through Facebook. How do you send them into Facebook, Kev? Tell us.
Go to Facebook, search for the Fujicast podcast group and join the group if you're not in it. And there is a lovely big orange post at the top of the page that is pinned, and pop your questions in there.
Brilliant. Right. Well, we should say thank you to our sponsors before we start. So thank you, pick-time.com. That's the website address for PickTime. We both use them. It's a fantastic service for showing the pictures that you take and that you want to sell or show to clients. I actually have been using it for more commercial jobs of late than weddings. What's a wedding, Kev? What's a wedding? Well, I'm asking the wrong person there, probably, aren't I? What? Do you remember weddings?
I did a wedding actually a couple of weeks ago.
Did you? What?
Yeah,
what?
I did a small one in Malmesbury at the Donkey Shed, a little place in Malmesbury. It was for somebody called me up, and it was for a lady who's very unwell, and it was a last minute thing, and so I spent a couple of hours with them, and didn't charge them, but it was quite nice to get the cameras back out of the bags.
Yeah. How did you feel, Kev? Did it in any way, shape or form make you think, oh, I like this wedding thing?
No.
I wonder.
No. I mean, obviously, you know, I say this with a massive tongue in cheek, of course, because, you know, I'm having my break from weddings and I'm enjoying my break from weddings, but it was a very good career and for the most part, very, very enjoyable. So, I can't knock it.
Whoa! Wind back, Kev. You sounded like was it Chandler? Who was it in Friends? Who said we were on a break? Does this mean that the Mullinses may be returning at some stage? You're on a break, you said.
No, yeah, it's probably the wrong word. No, I have booked one for next year though.
Have you?
Threw a massive number at them, and they went, yeah, okay.
Oh, hang on. There's a phone call. Can you do a wedding next week, Kev? No.
If the price is right.
Oh, Kev, don't. Do you know what? Sometimes when you get to that stage where you think it's the Colonel Parker approach, isn't it? You know, just never say no. Just throw a large price, and if they say yes, take it. Wasn't it Colonel Tom Parker, Elvis's manager, who never refused a job? He just put in large prices. Anyway, we're talking about PickTime. So yeah, we use PickTime where we show our images online to our clients. It's a great place for them to go. You can resize images on the page as you present. So it looks like a really nice website presentation. And you can sell stuff from it as well, like prints, digital downloads, albums. Kev, you used it for years with albums. There's loads of product on there you can use.
There was a question in the Facebook group actually the other day from our mate Lee, who was asking not necessarily about pick time, but he was asking, are there any album manufacturers out there that allow clients to design their own albums? Because he's a bit fed up of doing it himself. And so, of course, I said to him, well, if you use pick time, then, that's one of the things that I kind of merged it into a marketing message to my clients. I've got this amazing system that allows you to design your own album. Imagine that. You're not going to be forced by the photographer to, the layout that he wants. You can do it yourself. So it was a bit of a spin on the marketing there. Yeah. So yeah, that was one of the main benefits for me, was the fact that I no longer had to design albums. I would always check them, of course, and nobody ever really messed it up. But the clients can do their own album design. They submit it to you for approval. You give it a once over. If you're happy, you say, yeah, go to print. And then what happens is money falls into your bank account while you go to the pub.
Yeah. All life is in the pub, Kev, waiting for money to fall into your pocket.
Yep.
Well, there ain't nothing wrong with that. Right. So go to pick-time.com, and if you go to checkout and pop the word Fujicast in, you get 1 month free. Can't say fairer than that. Yeah. Right. Questions. Do you want to go? You've got the spreadsheet out, the Neale Ford Memorial spreadsheet. I don't want to call it memorial. No. What do I mean? So not memorial. He's actually, as we record this, he's here tomorrow doing some IT work with me. What do I mean then, Kev?
You better give him a bunch of flowers.
Yeah. Can I have that? Can I have that bunch of flowers that's on your doorstep? I'll say, there we go, Neale. That's how much we love you. Go on then, read one from Facebook.
Okay, I'm going to start with the most recent one, purely because it's a time-sensitive one.
Oh.
And it's from Colin Knott, and he says, quick question, although it's not really a quick question. Recommend me a decent value zoom lens, sub £400, please. He goes on to say, I shoot film and digital and often use prime film lenses on my X-T2 with good results. Right. I am heading to Madeira in March. This is why we're answering it now. Just taking my X-T2. I could go overboard, obviously, but I'm trying to reduce the general faff. 1 camera, 2 lenses. Yeah. I've decided 28mm old dreamy Minolta prime lens, but need to buy an all-rounder zoom to cover all bases. Walking the lavadas and coastal landscapes, what waterproof zoom that won't break the bank would you recommend? You can find him on Instagram, Colin Knott Photography. That's Knott with a K. Knott.
There's a whole load, actually. I'm just looking on MPB. You could have the 18 to 55. 259 is the most you'll spend there. These are today's prices. There's a 50 to 230 for 214. 16 to 50. Here's a good one. 16 to 80. 359. That's a fair range, isn't it? F4.
Yeah.
And water resistant. He said he wanted it. Weather resistant. Water resistant. Weather resistant. So he said he wanted an element of that. 16 to 80. I think that's a good focal length, isn't it? Really, it covers most bases, I would have thought.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good because he does mention sub £400, and he mentioned that he's happy for it to be used. So MPB seems like a great place to go and look at that. Yeah, I think that's it's a good all rounder. The F4 means that. If it's a little bit late at night, you're going to have to maybe think about stabilizing it, because it's not an f2.8 lens, the last one you mentioned. But by the sounds of it, it's going to be daytime walking around, coast walks, all that kind of stuff. So f4 would be absolutely fine. Make it a little bit lighter as well. And yeah, I think that's a good price for that.
I found one here, actually, 16 to 55. Okay, you might have to spend another £40 or so, but that's an f2.8, 16 to 55. That's whether.
And how much was that?
544 actually for the top price, 419 for one that's been a bit used.
Yeah, I think that's a better choice, I have to say.
Yeah,
a better all-round lens.
Not you've not got so much on the far end.
No, but it's going to be sharper. It's a more full-featured lens.
Full-featured.
Do either of those lenses have OIS?
The F4 does, the 16 to 80. Yes, it does. That's image stabilized. But
okay.
the 16 to 55 is not.
Okay.
So there we go. You got a trade-off there. Which trade-off would you choose, Kev? Would you choose?
I'd probably go for the OIS f4 lens.
Right.
Cheaper as well.
And you've got further length. Should you need it?
Just because we managed to completely confuse everybody in the answer, what's the actual lens that you're looking at, that f4 lens, so Colin knows?
Fujifilm XF 16 to 80 f4. It's image stabilized, so OIS. Weather resistant. So there we go.
And that's on MPB.
It is on MPB right now. There's 10 plus available. I don't know how that changes with the weekend going between recording this and Monday. But
I'm going to buy 9 now.
and you're going to put them back on for 450 quid. Oh, Kev, you're a wheeler dealer. You really are.
I tell you what I've had in my grubby little mitts for the last few weeks is the little Fujifilm X-M5.
Oh, have you? Now, I've heard good things about this.
It's fantastic. I've got to say, it's absolutely fantastic. It's for a little... I by the time this goes out, there will be a review on YouTube from me on it. But I loved it. I absolutely loved it, and it's tiny. And, there's no viewfinder. It doesn't have IBIS. Doesn't have in-body image stabilization, but it does have the digital stabilization. It's got, if you're a vlogger, I think, which I'm not, but if you are a vlogger, it's amazing. It's got this little nifty little vertical filming option as well, so you can flip the screen out.
Does the screen come all the way round so you can see see the mullins in it?
Yeah, all of that. It's brilliant. Yeah, I have to say, I mean, it's not a kind of camera that probably I would definitely wouldn't recommend you have it for kind of professional use. No. It's like one card, it uses the old battery, that kind of thing. Yeah. But for everyday carry, that's what the cool kids call it these days, isn't it?
Yeah.
Travel camera, I think it's about £800 as well.
Would this have been in your kit bag if you were going to London to do little bloggy pieces?
Yeah, definitely.
Would it replace anything? If it would replace a camera, what would it replace in your bag?
Well, that's quite interesting because I mentioned this in my review that it's kind of found a little gap, I think, because it wouldn't replace the X100, my X100 VI, because I'm used to using that. It's 40 megapixel sensor, etc. But what I don't actually have right now is something with a really good sensor, phenomenal autofocus. I mean, it's on par with the X-T5.
Yeah.
That can just kind of slip in your pocket. It's not as small as say, the X70, but the benefit it has over the X70 is that it's got the much newer sensor, much better autofocus, all of that kind of stuff. It's got the nice flippy round screen. I mean, the X70 did have the screen that flipped over the top. So yeah, there isn't anything really that there's a crossover in my kit, and I've got a lot of kit, that. So it does have a place, and the point I was making in the review is that Fujifilm have managed to find yet another little niche, I think. I mean, I'm not saying, I don't know, I'm sure there is, like in the Sony world and Ricoh and all that, an equivalent of this. But in the Fujifilm world, there isn't, I think. I think it kind of sits nicely in between your higher end street photography cameras and your mobile phone, basically. I think the marketing message for this is that it's the camera for people who want to upgrade from mobile phone shooting. Yeah. And I think that makes perfect sense. But if you're a vlogger, YouTuber, Twitcher, tickety-tocketeer, all of that stuff, then yeah, I mean, it's...
Yeah, I just used the word blog. I meant vlog. It's 27mm lens, which that equates to 40 and a bit, 40.5 millimeters.
What do you want about?
Well, I'm talking about focal length. So if because it's a fixed focal length on the
camera.
The
X-M5 doesn't have a lens.
Oh, does it not?
No.
Oh.
I don't know what you're looking at, but it's not the X-M5. The X-M5 is interchangeable.
Sorry, it's the X-M5 I'm looking at, but I just happen to be looking at a 27mm lens that's been popped on it. Okay, all right. So, stick a 27mm or stick the, like I've been using it with the original 18mm pancake lens. Right, got you. Yeah.
But it's brilliant.
Oh, in that respect, yeah, fantastic. And
easily fits in my little pocket of my Cirencester Judo Club coach hoodie that I'm wearing right now, bright yellow.
Nice. You don't stand out at all in Malmesbury, I'm sure.
I came home wearing it the other night. They'd given me a new hoodie, and it's yellow and silver. It says Cirencester Judo Club coach on the back. I walked in the room. Gemma looked at me. She said, "F me, you look like a pound coin."
I tell you what, don't wear it down the coast. They'll think you're RNLI and be asking you to save lives.
They will. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So that's a lens and a camera suggestion right at the start of the show. Should we go for a question from email? This is from Guy Humphrey. Hi Neil. Hi Kevin. I recently found your podcast as I was looking for information about the X100V. I've ended up in a rabbit hole of listening to loads of your old podcasts. I'm sorry about that. And having had many laughs along the way, you two are hilarious. Oh, are we? I have a question, as I'm an absolute beginner, cue the song, to photography. If you had to start again from square one, how would you go about starting your journey? I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed with all the different things like lenses, we've added to that today, ISO, recipes and so on. Any tips? Greatly appreciated. Love the podcast. Can't wait to listen to many more. Kind regards from Guy. Guy, thank you very much for a very kind comment as well as your question. The X100V, perfect to start with. I'm taking that camera to India. I almost thought about borrowing a VI6, but I haven't. I've stuck with a VKev. I'm just going to take my lens adapters, and I'll be very happy travelling very light with that. But where would you start if you were starting again at the beginning of the journey, Kev? He's a bit overwhelmed. If you're an absolute beginner, do you have to think? Do you have to think too much about it? I think the X100V with that lens on it, with your 23mm lens, and okay, if you want to buy the adapter lenses to go on the front, I'd say that's a nice place to go. And then just step out the door and start photographing.
I would say, that when we started decades and decades and decades ago,
what? It's only
cameras weren't quite what they are now.
No.
You had to shoot manually. Well, you didn't have to shoot manually, but you certainly didn't have the benefit of optical viewfinder, electronic viewfinders, etc. So, you certainly couldn't go out shooting really without understanding ISO, aperture, shutter speed, all that kind of stuff. Now, whilst I think it's still really important that you do understand that, when you first start out, you don't. It's just a new thing. So, but the beauty of modern cameras, whether it's a Fujifilm X100V or whether it's a, Panasonic something or other or whatever, it doesn't really matter, is that they can do most of the work for you. So my advice would be take your X100V out, stick it in fully automatic mode. That's all three things on red A on your Fujifilm camera. Go out, let the camera take the strain, just look for the photos, and then afterwards analyze those images and look at the exposure that it came up with. So the aperture, shutter speed, and the ISO will be in your editing software or just on your phone. If you put them across there, you'll still see the details. And then you can start to understand what's making a difference in each of these different scenarios. And then you can start playing with it. If you'll then quickly realize that something at f2.8 renders a shallower depth of field when you're closer to it than something at f8, for example. And so then you'll realize that if you want to do portraits, maybe a narrower depth of field is better. And, if you want to do landscapes, then a wider depth of field is better. And you'll kind of learn that way. I think that's probably, rather than going down the, as he says, the rabbit hole of, YouTube videos, how to understand ISO, how to understand depth of field, all of that stuff. It's boring, isn't it?
Right. And also it's a bit like going on Google and looking up. I've got a spot on my bottom, and then finding 1,000,001 things it could possibly be. This might be a very strange metaphor or analogy, but you do end up in places when you're looking for photography stuff that takes you way off the beaten track, and makes it so confusing. I suppose you could find yourself a little project with a small p. I was talking on the photo walk about some of the wonderful little projects that have you just looking because that's what the great thing about just heading out with your camera and just looking. Like Andre Curtis, who did the people sitting on benches thing. So he used to just photograph people on park benches, which I thought was a lovely idea. And Irving Penn, who used to photograph people who were studying everyday items. Like he had a cigarette series and stuff like that.
Yeah, obviously you need to have an interest in subject.
Yeah. I'm giving two there, but whatever your interest is, but give yourself a little something that takes you out, that focuses your eye and your thoughts as you're meandering, as it were.
I like to photograph people searching for spot on my bum on Google.
Don't put that into Google, Kev, for heaven's sakes. I haven't got a spot on my bum. I just thought that was the first thing that came to mind of people that might put things in Google. I don't know what comes up. No, don't search for it.
No, let's move on.
Yes, your turn. Thank you, Guy.
Nick Osborne says, this one's mostly for you, Neil. He says, hello both. Quick question from me, QQ. Do you have any recommendations for a relatively easy-to-use device for recording wedding day audio? I'm interested in recording the vows and speeches and then using these clips as background sound for my photos, slideshows. He goes on to say, lav mics or some form of clip-on, dictaphone, ? Thanks, as always, for your insightful podcast, chaps.
That's called a photo film, isn't it?
I think it is.
Back in the day, when did I start doing photo films, Kev? Must be over a decade
long
ago.
Time ago. Do you remember that chap? You were doing them way before this chap come along, and he kind of started proudly pronouncing he was the inventor of the photo film. Remember?
I do remember that. I've completely forgotten about him. But
yeah, I don't know. He was an older chap. I don't know if he's still shooting weddings. I really can't remember his name now. But yeah he had this entire
he did
him inventing photo films, and we were both like, well, you mostly were like, hang on. Neil's been doing this for years. And better as well. I hated
somebody may have been doing them before me, but I certainly never claimed to be the father of photo films.
No, exactly.
Straight away, I would. There's two to go for here. Zoom H1N, which is a super recorder because it's got. You can put it on a tiny little tripod. You know the little bendy tripods, Kev.
Yeah,
and you can
Gorillas. They're called, aren't they? Gorilla Pod.
Yeah, I think they're even smaller than the. I don't think Gorilla Pod's making this small, but yeah, that sort of thing. And then you can put them on tables and record the Atmos, or you can just add a lavalier microphone to it. And I would go shopping with Rode because I think they make some of the best. I think they make for pound for your buck, or buck for your pound, or pound for your punch, or whatever the expression is. They make the best ones, I think. You can buy Sennheiser ones as well, but Rode, I think, fantastic microphones. Lavalier, plug it in, and then you've got you can pop it in a pocket of the groom or the best man. Gets a little bit harder, of course, when you're trying to record the bride, because there ain't many pockets on bridal gowns, are there, Kev?
No.
So you can use. Now, what was the one that I've got them in my bag, Kev? Bear with me. I'll just get one out. I can never remember the actual name. I think it's 650. It is and since you mentioned dictaphones, Sony. A Sony 650. I think this has been superseded, but I'm pretty sure you can still buy them, or buy the one that superseded it. And these are like little dictaphones. They've got you can probably hear it, a little clip at the back, and then you can clip it inside people's pockets, and that's quite good for bridal gowns. So there we go. There's your sound setup. Good to go. Off you go.
Perfect.
Done.
Well done.
Flying through these, what have we got? One from Mark Adams. Hi, chaps. It's grey outside. I'm going grey. That's a good way to start. Whilst the US, though, turns orange, so we're going to the Caribbean. I'll take the XT5, but do I take the lovely small F2 primes, 16, 23, 35, 50, or a couple of zooms, 16 to 80? Oh, there's the F4 one.
There it is again.
And the 70 to 300. What's your experience of travel photography? So yeah, travel photography. Well, I'm going to India in a few weeks' time, and I'm taking the X100. V with me. Last year, when I was in West Africa, I took the X100V and the X100VI, and they were both fantastic. I did look around me and got a little bit. I wondered with some of the wonderful Nikon, Nikon cameras and the big Canon units that were coming out. I was thinking, do I look a bit unprofessional with my small set? But I'm really happy with the images I went back with, Kev. For sure, I couldn't photograph birds in the trees, and that's what you would need a 70 to 300 for. But I was really happy with a small setup. So it depends how you want to travel, doesn't it, Kev? You either want to go with a big backpack and you take all your cameras and all your primes and your zooms and stuff. Because I knew that I was going to be in markets, I was going to be in villages, in houses. A lot of it was quite intimate photography in terms of your proximity to people. That's why I went light. So does it not depend upon what you choose to photograph, Kev?
Yeah, it does entirely. And the fact that he says that he's going to the Caribbean probably, might not be, but probably means he's going on a cruise, I would have thought.
Nice.
And then jumping off at various places. Maybe his big boat will take him through the Gulf of Mexico. Who knows?
No, Gulf of America now, Kev.
Who knows? Gulf of Mexico. And
America.
I would probably, to be totally honest with you, go with those prime lenses.
Yeah. 16, 23, 35, 50.
Yeah, because they are light, they are small,
yes,
and they travel well. And then, we don't know what he wants to photograph, but I get a sense it's a cruise, and that means he will be getting off and going to places like markets and, wandering around small islands in the middle of the Caribbean, all that kind of stuff. So that would probably be my choice. But ultimately, I don't know. I mean, if you are on a cruise, which of course we don't know, and you see a great big humpback whale spurting its spout in the Gulf of Mexico from a distance, you'll need your long zoom.
Oh dear, Mark. There we go. There's your there's the advice from us.
There's your non-answer.
No, you did answer him. Take the 16, 23, 35 and 50, and don't worry about the whale. Did you see the BBC piece where a guy got swallowed by a whale?
Yeah, I saw it.
And then spat out again within seconds.
His dad was filming it.
I know. Yes, his dad didn't seem that panicked because I thought the filming of it was quite steady, Kev.
I did see that last night actually on the BBC, and I was thinking, I don't know if I might be a bit pissed off if I got swallowed by a whale and then he spat me out a hole without even having a little nibble to decide whether he liked me or not.
Well, I'd be quite pleased, I think. Imagine. I tell you what. Then you're writing your own checks for after dinner speeches after that, aren't you?
Yeah, I think
Swallowed by a whale. That's all you need. There we go. £5,000 every single time. Job's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Good luck, Mark. Send us a postcard. Enjoy your cruise. Go on.
I've got a quick question here from Ivan Creeth, and he says, my quick question is definitely for Kevin. What judo throw would you recommend for a jiu-jitsu grappler to add to his kit for sparring? Oh, what a great question.
Well, that's
more judo questions, please.
Only you can answer these ones, Kev.
Yeah, and my answer, Ivan, would definitely be haragoshi. Yes, you'll know what that means. Haragoshi, up the side of the leg, flat on their back, straight into Juji Gatami, game over.
Haragoshi. Doesn't he sing in that boys band? We're flying through these. Let me have a look at the clock. Hold on, Kev. Let's we got a bit of time left yet. This is Nigel Bayton. Good day, boys. Hope you're both well. Just thought that was a terrible impression. Sorry. Just thought I'd ask because I think I may have missed it. You won't believe what he's missed. Has Kev quit wedding photography? What on earth is he going to be doing now? Also, I've been asked to do... I tell you what, we'll come back for the second part of the question. But have you quit wedding photography, Kev? When did that happen?
Well, yes. I have indeed.
Well, apparently not. It sounds like you might be going back into it for the right price.
Well, if you listen back to all of the conversations we've had about this, then you will know that I've always said that I will get my dusty old suit out for certain things if something takes my fancy. And I do have one booked for next year. And what took my fancy was the money that they were offering. And so, but yes, generally I have ended my sojourn, 15 years or 16 years or whatever it was, of shooting weddings. Good rate that it was time for a break.
I think I certainly sensed that there were moments where you were falling right out of love with it. And it was affecting your love for photography, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think that's true to say. And, it kind of, I think the same with a lot of people, wasn't it? I was always very careful, as, again, as we've always talked about, in terms of time, and like I never shot weddings in August or anything like that. So I always gave myself plenty of free time through the year. But it did get to the point where it was one day, I think it was early 2023. I think it was one of my first weddings of that year, January or February, and I sat in a travel lodge on a Friday night. And I just went, nah, this is it, I'm done. And that was it. That was the decision made, really. I mean, it did coincide with other major things happening as well, which helped it in terms of finances and homes and houses and things. So all of that kind of came together at the same time. So I was in a very lucky position to be able to make that decision. Had I not been, then I would still be doing them, and I wouldn't be, I would never have moaned about them. It did get to the point, you're right, where, I was kind of like, am I doing this for the right reason now? But that was right at the end, and I made the decision very quickly. And I've always said that to my kids, if you're doing something and you don't feel like you want to do it anymore, or you can't do it and it's affecting your ability to do it the best of your ability, then, it's not necessarily a case of, right, I'm going to stop doing that now, but you definitely need to sit down and think about it and what can I do to address these issues. And so that's what I did.
Since winning the lotto, why are you still driving your Kia?
My Kia, I've literally just toppled over 100,000 miles.
Has it? Wow.
Yeah. It's got its MOT next week, so I'm not tempting fate.
Your Kia's newer than mine, so how comes you've done so many more miles than me?
Oh, I used to go to posher weddings than you. Nicer venues, longer country drives.
Yeah, that's true. The next part of that question was, what on earth is he going to be doing now? Well, he sits a lot of the day in his white Y-fronts and just strums on his guitar and watches judo videos.
I do watch a lot of judo. Yeah, I do. Ivan, if you're still listening and you want to watch a lot of judo, judotv.com. Subscription, 100 quid a year, but it's brilliant. Yeah, I do a lot of that. I do a little bit of playing the guitar. I do.
Well, you've got your big video course coming out, haven't you?
Yeah. Well, actually, the art part of it is already out. So that's on my website now. The art of documentary wedding photography.
Selling well?
Yes, doing really well, actually. I think I kind of did a quiet release of it last week, and I probably will do the mailing list today. But the business one is the one that I'm working on next, or now, which should be done in a couple of weeks also. So yeah, that and the presets and my workshops and online mentoring, that's kind of where I'm at the moment. Although I have to say, and this is definitely a thing, I'm doing a little bit of studio work. I've got for some reason I've had a rush of actors' headshots, which is nice, but I'm not getting out and about shooting as much as I would like. So that is my focal point now. Once I finish this business, I'm going to Spain next week for a week some maintenance on Gemma's dad's house. But once the business course is finished, then I shall be definitely putting more thought into projects.
So he does have a third part perhaps. Also, I've been asked to do 2 weddings. It's for close family members, and they fully understand. I'm just a keen, never just anything. I'm going to read what you say, but you're never just anything. Just a keen photographer, not a wedding photographer. My question is, if I like it, is it too late at 53 to be starting as a wedding photographer? I have quite a physical job, so I'm not shy to work hard or shy to hard work. I'm just wondering if it could be a nice change of career to give me more time during the week. I don't know what it is that you do as your physical job, but there is physicality involved. I'm not sure it's as physical as some people say it is. Although I tell you what, do 3 in a row. I did 3 in a row for the last time last year, Kev, and I don't really want to do 3 in a row ever again. But I remember the very early days where I did 5 or 6 in 1 week.
Yeah, I remember you doing those as well. And it's not, you're right. Now, in these days, it's not so much the physical thing. Back in the days when we were using big old DSLRs, your body would feel it, definitely. But these days, less so in terms of the physical nature. But at our age, and he is similar age to us, there is a kind of exhaustion that kind of creeps in after 8 to 10 hours, and you just have to be careful how you manage yourself on the day. I don't think a kind of mid-50s person is the kind of person that would be shooting a wedding, shooting 5,000 frames, camera to the eye constantly, running around taking pictures of absolutely everything.
No.
You've got to be a little bit more considered. But yeah, I mean, age has nothing to do with it. I read once, I didn't read, actually, I had a conversation with somebody, and they were, they were well of the opinion that, young clients want young, hipster, trendy looking photographers. And there may be an element of truth in that, but, I don't think that there's too much truth in that. I think people, nobody worth their salt would pick a wedding photographer based on what they look like or their age. They should be picking them on their ability and their price. And so I don't think age is really an issue in that respect. It is hard.
Life experience is very important, Kev. And I think actually when you're a bit older with your life experience, that does count for something. Now, of course, he's going into it without necessarily photographic life experience. But I've always felt that I'm a calming person at a wedding. I don't run, I don't shout, I'm not trying to be a ringmaster. I'm not lying on the floor, photographing, weird angles or jumping out from behind. I go about it very quietly, like a news photojournalist.
Do you scratch the spot on your bum when you're walking around at weddings?
Well, usually with my trousers on, yes. But it is sometimes that calming nature when you walk into a room in the morning when you've seen a bit of life, and certainly if you've got a lot of photographic history behind you as well, that does help, sure. Then I think you can be quite a calming nature to it, and so often I've had that mentioned following the wedding, and I think that's an important part of it. And you can take that to the party with life experience in your 50s, definitely. And I look at John Dolan, really. If you look at John Dolan, he's older than both of us, and he's very much in demand in a very...
Far better looking than both of us as well.
It's a much better beard as well. But in the American market, he is one of the top end photographers for good reason. So yeah, age is but a number, as they say in cliche land. Good luck with that, Nigel. It would be nice to see some of the wedding pictures that you make. Right, I think we've got time for one from Facebook, Kev. Let me have a look at the clock. Yeah, and then it's time, ladies and gents, please.
Okay, right. So we have one from Sam Taylor who says, "Hi guys, a simple question, but hopefully not a silly one. What piece of kit has made the biggest difference to your photography, which isn't a camera, a lens, or a flash?"
Oh God, I was about to say.
I ask the question because this year I'm planning a trip to Iceland. Over the Christmas period, I did some testing of the kit I planned to take, and I realized that while I have all the camera gear I need, what I don't have is the right clothing. In particular, I don't have a good set of gloves, and it's tricky to adjust aperture, etc. with frozen fingers. Is there something you rely on, perhaps, that you hope to, or perhaps you want to add to your kit this year? Instagram at sam.taylor.photo.
So is he talking about clothing?
I think that's the thing that he's come up with, but the question is to us, is there something that we ever got or wanted, need, that that isn't a flash or a lens? I think that he actually, or she, hang on, I'm going to look on Instagram now.
I'll say straight away, whilst we're talking about clothing, I swear by there's a particular set of North Face gloves. I haven't got them with me at the moment, but they're quite thin. They're well, not really fleecy, but they're quite thin, and they're the ones where you can still type on your, on mobile phones and stuff like that. They're brilliant. They cost a bit more than the other ones, and I've used them for skiing as well. So I love those because they let your hand breathe, and I think that's important for when you're photographing in cold conditions. You're absolutely right. And it's really difficult to photograph with anything that's really thick as a set of gloves. It's horrible, Kev. Woolen gloves are the nemesis.
So it is a chap, Samuel Taylor. I've just looked at his Instagram, and it's amazing. You've got to look at his Instagram, sam.taylor.photo, and the byline, which I love, AI-free images of people and spaces in Cambridge.
Ooh.
They're nice work.
So give me that address again, because I was just unzipping something in the camera bag to...
You've got an itchy bum again.
I haven't left it in the camera bag, Kev.
At sam.taylor.photo.
Sam.Taylor. So give your suggestion while I'm looking that up. Sam.
Yeah, so I actually think that the nature of Sam's question is that he's found the thing that the biggest difference is photography, and he's asking us what ours might have been or were.
Oh, I see.
Although it's a good answer about the gloves. But so for me, I don't know. I don't know. I'm trying to think about my camera bag that I would take to weddings and what I had in it. And I don't know, I think that the kind of, on the clothing note, I used to, after a period of about 2 years of getting my white shirt completely soaked with sweat, I used to leave a couple of shirts in the car so I could change. Yeah. But yeah, gear wise, I don't know. I mean, not gear wise, but anything other than gear. What did I have in my camera bag? I used to take a little Manfrotto Pixie tripod, which is a tiny little thing. Yeah. But that definitely didn't make a big difference to my photography because I don't think I ever used it. I used it twice. Yeah.
There's two. I know you said not flash, so this is kind of a little bit too close to flash. So I'm gonna throw the gloves in there because I can't photograph with cold hands. I really can't. So gloves and those North Face ones, the thinner ones, perfect. The little Manfrotto Lumi Muse things that we use, Kev, this one's really beaten up. You'd be proud of this, Kev, because you like stuff held together by sticky tape, and this one is.
Yeah, like I am.
4, 5, 6. I've got the 6 lamp one. And that has come in so much handy for just doing small little macro things sometimes.
Oh, the Lumi Muse.
The Lumi Muse, yeah, the Manfrotto ones, that's fantastic. And the other thing, which is a nice sort of round, circular, cyclic sort of way to come back to one of our original questions, if not the first, was I always take out a little sound recorder, because sometimes you can just add something into, if you're making, as you do, Instagram posts, beautiful Instagram posts, by the way, you're right, Kev. These are wonderful, aren't they?
Yeah.
And if you wanted to do something more with sound, because sometimes I think sound can truly bring alive a picture in another dimension. So I take out I always have the Sony, I couldn't remember the number, and I think it was the 650. Is it TX 650? We'll put it, I can't read it, Kev. Where's my glasses?
Come on, Grandad.
It's a 650 anyway. And that's a really good bit of kit. And I never leave home without it. So there we go. And that's it, Kev. That's all we have time for. You're off to España, a Viva la España.
I am.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
Fix pipes, paint walls.
Oh, lovely.
Clean pools. Yeah. It won't be a fun trip.
Well, no, it will be, because no doubt you'll be having a beer between each wall, won't you?
Yeah, maybe.
Isn't that the way that it works? Is Gemma going with you?
Just me and Gemma.
All right, okay. Oh, lovely. Yeah. All right. And, well, I would imagine midway through the week, then you'd have given up all that. You'd be sitting by a swimming pool thinking, it's so much nicer than the UK weather.
Well, it's 22 degrees out there today.
Oh, lovely. Nice. Wow, very nice indeed. Well, enjoy that, Kev. I'm hoping, actually, we'll get a chance to record another one before... I think you're only away next week, aren't you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's all right then. We'll get another one in before I depart for Delhi, which is considerably hotter than that, I think, actually.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's it. If you'd like to get your questions in, then send them to click@fujicast.co.uk, click@fujicast.co.uk, or Kev, if they want to do it by Facebook, how is that done?
Go to facebook.com and search for Fujicast Facebook group, join the group, love the group, enjoy the group, and look at the orange post at the top that's pinned, which is questions. Pop your question in there, and potentially we'll answer it.
We will answer it at some stage. Thank you, Kev. See you later. Bye.
Bye-bye.
The Fujicast is an independent Loading Zone production. Email the show with your questions and words of wisdom to click@fujicast.co.uk. Email any complaints and political nonsense to our wives, who will deal with your comments in their own good time and in their own good way.